Thomas had been alone for 3 years since his wife passed away. His children lived in distant cities, and the big house felt empty, silent, except for the ticking of the old grandfather clock. One rainy afternoon, Thomas heard whimpering outside. He opened the door to find a scraggly, mud-covered dog shivering on his porch, thin, with matted fur and sad brown eyes that seemed to carry their own grief. "Go on, get," Thomas said gruffly, but the dog didn't move. Thomas sighed and returned with leftover chicken and water. The dog ate quickly. When Thomas went back inside, he expected it to leave. Instead, it curled up by his door. The next morning, the dog was still there. "Fine," Thomas muttered, "but just until you're strong enough to move on." He named the dog Buddy, though he told himself it was temporary. Days turned into weeks, and Buddy never left. More than that, Buddy seemed to understand Thomas in a way no one else did. On mornings, Thomas woke up sad, missing his wife. Buddy would rest his head on Thomas's lap without being called. When Thomas sat in his late wife's favorite chair, staring at nothing, Buddy would bring his worn tennis ball and gently nudge Thomas's hand, a quiet invitation to step outside, to keep living. Slowly, the house came alive again. Thomas started taking morning walks with Buddy through the park. He talked to his dog about everything, his wife, his regrets, his fears, his memories, and Buddy would listen with those understanding eyes, never judging. One winter evening, Thomas felt chest pains. He tried to reach for his phone, but collapsed. Buddy immediately began barking, loud, insistent, desperate. He ran to the door, barking and scratching until the neighbor heard and came to investigate. "Thomas, oh my God!" The neighbor called 911 while Buddy stayed pressed against Thomas's side, licking his face, refusing to leave him. At the hospital, the doctors said Thomas had suffered a heart attack. "If you'd been alone any longer, we might have lost you," they told him. "That dog of yours saved your life." Thomas's children rushed to the hospital, worried and guilty. "Dad, you shouldn't be living alone anymore," his daughter Sarah said. "I'm not alone," Thomas said quietly. Through the hospital window, he could see Buddy waiting in Sarah's car, refusing to rest until his human came back. Thomas recovered, and his children visited more often. But everyone knew who Thomas's true companion was, the scruffy dog who had appeared on a rainy day and decided to stay. Years passed. Thomas and Buddy grew old together. Thomas's hair turned white, and Buddy's muzzle became gray. They moved slower now, their walks shorter, but the bond between them only deepened. One peaceful spring morning, Buddy didn't get up for their walk. Thomas knew. He sat beside his old friend, stroking his soft fur, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you, boy," Thomas whispered. "You gave me a reason to keep going when I had none. You taught me I could love again after loss. You were never just a dog. You were my friend, my companion, my savior." Buddy's tail wagged weakly, and those brown eyes, still full of love, looked at Thomas one last time. Then, peacefully, Buddy closed them. Thomas buried Buddy in the backyard under the oak tree. He placed Buddy's worn tennis ball beside him. Months later, Thomas's grandson asked, "Grandpa, do you miss Buddy?" Thomas looked out at the oak tree. "Every single day," he said, "but I'm grateful. Buddy found me when I was lost. He reminded me that even in the darkest times, love still exists, and that sometimes the most loyal hearts come on 4 legs. He smiled, tears in his eyes. Buddy wasn't just my dog. He was proof that we're never truly alone. We saved each other. That night, Thomas added a photo to the mantle, him and Buddy on their first walk. It sat right next to the photo of his wife. Because love doesn't end. It just changes form. And sometimes it arrives on your doorstep on a rainy afternoon, asking for a second chance, not just for itself, but for you too.